First story. After 11 years of abandonment, entitled sister came back with her new wealthy family, demanding to give her daughter, and that's how she lost her new family. She told them we were dangerous people who abused her, so I exposed her with proof. Now she lost both families and is having a meltdown. To avoid confusion, my daughter, Millie 14, is biologically my niece. So what happened was that years ago, when Millie was about 3, my sister, her mom, Layla 38, left to work in another country, leaving Millie in my 44 care. Millie's father died before she was born. Layla had promised to send money for me to take care of Millie, and she'd call and visit as often as she could until she could take Millie to live with her permanently. After she left, she called probably 3 times in the first 2 months and then went away. For years, I'd tried to find out what happened and assumed the worst, only to hear from one of her friends, a couple of years later, that she got married to someone else and has an entire new family. I was heartbroken because Millie would ask when her mom was coming back, and I never knew what to say except soon. But even she grew tired of it and realized when she was about 8 that her mom wasn't coming back anytime soon, that's if she was coming back at all. Because of this situation, me and my wife were granted parental rights to Millie, and she couldn't have been happier that we were officially her parents. Well, what do you know? After 11 years, Layla finally graced us with her long overdue return last week, along with her new very wealthy family and 2 children. Most of the family was happy with her return, but me, my mom, my dad, and my wife were nothing short of furious. She tried to explain, but all that we heard was, "I abandoned my own daughter and made a new family." As if that wasn't enough, she practically demanded her daughters back. Mom and Dad weren't having it at all and told her Millie belongs with me and my wife, and that she no longer has any right to her. Well, there she goes screaming at me about stealing her daughter because I was infertile, and to hear that come out of her mouth hurt me in a way I've never been hurt before, to the point where I cried and left. Me being infertile has always been my weak point, and for her to casually bring it up like that, despite being my sister, broke me. For the next few days, I prevented her from contacting Millie, and I haven't told her that Layla is back because I'm scared I'll lose my daughter. I'm a human being too. I get attached, especially to someone I've had to raise, and that too out of my own pocket, not that I'm complaining. I believe Millie is my daughter, and I can't let her go back to the very same woman who abandoned her. Does this make me edit? I'd like to thank each and every one of you. All your criticism is valid, and I really appreciate you guys for making me realize that I might lose my daughter by keeping her mom away from her. I'd also like to apologize for the way I phrased some of the things. By no means do I think of my daughter as some possession. She is her own person and doesn't belong to anyone. As such, I've changed the phrase belong to belong with to accurately represent what was meant. I love you guys for all the support you've given me, and I definitely will consult a lawyer. Me and my wife have agreed to tell Millie about her mother tonight, and we will make sure it's all about how she feels and not about us. Update. I would like to apologize for not responding to the comments and messages I've received lately. Things have been tough ever since we told Millie about Layla's return. After all the support and advice, you deserve an update on the situation. I don't even know where to begin, really. Everything has been a mess. Way too much happened the day after we told Millie. Since there's no word limit here, I'll try getting into as much detail as I can. That night, we told Millie that Layla had returned, and for a good few minutes, she was looking at us, as if waiting for us to say we were joking. But after she realized we were not, she broke down into tears, and it hurt. Of course, she wanted to know more, and though we were hesitant, we ended up telling her about Layla and her new family. I'd never seen her that furious. She was all over the place, throwing stuff around, and we let her because she needed to let it all out. For the night, she refused to talk to me since I should have told her the moment she came back, and my wife stayed with her for the night. Her anger subsided by morning, and we patched things up. At first, she wasn't sure if she wanted anything to do with Layla, but we let her make that choice, and she wanted to see her. And oh, so God help me with that woman. We set up the meeting for her and Layla, but she brought her entire family to the house along with her expensive gifts, and everything went downhill from there. I need to mention a very important part that should have made Layla realize she truly abandoned Millie. Along with the family was her sister-in-law Tanya, who was about the same age as her. When both of them entered, Millie could not even recognize who among them was Layla, and they looked worlds apart from each other. I had hoped that was enough to convince her to see what she did, but she carried on and pointed out that she was Layla, all while attempting to get close to her, even when she was clearly distancing herself. It got so bad that my wife had to come in between them, and her husband had to pull her away. That's when she started yelling at my wife for coming in between her and Millie, also accusing her of replacing her. What was there to replace? She was never there to begin with, and wow, what a first impression she made on the kids she abandoned. Millie became infuriated once more, and things were said. When I say she said what needed to be said, I mean it. It was a serious situation, but my wife and I were struggling to hide our smiles when Millie told Layla off. She called her cruel, selfish, disgusting, evil, and many more vile words to express her hatred towards her. Tanya had to take Layla's kids outside. Normally, I'd not entertained the vocabulary Millie was using, but for this specific instance, I just had to allow it. She was too worked up after this, and I had to take care upstairs to calm down. Now it was just me and my wife versus Layla and her husband. And along came the usual chorus. She accused us once again, now saying we influenced Millie to hate her. She was in tears, and for a minute, I felt sorry for her. My wife politely asked that we discuss this like adults. Now the revelations begin, and honestly, I rest my case. As we were recalling events from the past, and why Layla never contacted us again, Jeremy, her husband, was visibly confused. He looked lost, completely lost, to the point where I thought he wasn't feeling well, and I offered to take a walk. And well, we started talking about this matter, and I was beyond shocked. According to him, when he and Layla met, she never said anything about a child, and only after the marriage did she reveal she had a child. Not by choice anyway, because he found out from one of my billion texts to her regarding Millie. She further lied and said my family forced her to give up her child to me because I was infertile and desperate for a child that shared blood with me. But it doesn't end there. When Jeremy wanted to read the rest of the texts, she deleted them because I was apparently insulting and making threats to her that were so disturbing she didn't want Jeremy to see them. Of course, I showed him the text from my phone, and he couldn't believe it. It gets even worse. It was said that I was preventing her from contacting Millie, and she didn't even want to involve the police in the matter because me and my family were dangerous. So she thought it was best not to contact us anymore to protect her new family. At some point, I was thinking to myself how incredibly stupid Jeremy was to believe Layla's blatant attempts to cover the fact that she abandoned a child. But I feel for the guy. He was probably so smitten with my sister, just like all her exes, that he failed to see through her pretentiousness. I didn't even get to ask why they chose to come back now, because Jeremy was angry, and he went back inside fuming. They were fighting so loudly that I had to send them outside. It was clearly going to get violent, and we had to physically separate the two. Jeremy took Tanya and the kids and left, leaving Layla there. My very empathetic wife let her stay in our house since she was wailing so much, and honestly, after the lies, I couldn't care less about her. I did ask Millie if she was okay with Layla spending the night, and after seeing Layla break down like that, I wasn't surprised she let her stay. She made it very clear that the only reason she was allowing it was because she's not like her, and that was enough to let me know we've been doing a good job raising her. She also said she was still waiting for her to explain why she abandoned her and why she chose to come back now. We did get to discuss how she felt about Layla overall, and needless to say, she was very disappointed with her approach. I took the chance to assure her that she shouldn't be pressured to side with me and my wife, and that she can get to know Layla if she wants to. We would always love her, no matter what. She assured me she wouldn't be going anywhere, and it was very emotional for me because my heart was at ease hearing her say that. Layla and Jeremy are still not talking, so Layla lives with us for now since my parents don't want her at their house either, and my wife thinks she's too unstable to be left alone. But the more she delays telling us the truth, the faster her time is running out in the house. I just don't recognize my sister anymore. She was never like this. My parents raised her so well. I get she was traumatized by Millie's father's death, but surely it's not enough to change someone so drastically. And to abandon your child despite knowing you're the only parent they have left, then come back after a long time to take her away from people who love her. It just makes it hard for me to sympathize with her. I doubt any one of us will take this to the courts. Now that Layla's husband knows the truth, in the comments, give her a time limit. A week should be enough for her to get her act together enough to move forward. Any longer than that, and you would be actively harming your daughter by having her around. Good luck on your next moves. OP answers. Oh, don't worry about that. She has until tomorrow to answer Millie's questions. She can come up with the most saintly explanations, but the lies that she told her husband and his family will be her downfall. I know for sure nothing she says will ever convince Millie, and I did tell Layla that I'll drag her out myself if she doesn't leave tomorrow, regardless of the explanation, and I would have the abandonment charges pressed against her. I just hope it doesn't come to that, and she just apologizes and peacefully exits our lives, because even now, I still haven't heard a single sorry from her. I can see she's taking advantage of my wife's empathetic nature. But I'm going to end it. Final update. I've been noticing a lot of traction from my updates, and I can see you all want an update. First, I would like to address the skepticism around my posts. I understand where you're all coming from, and honestly, I expected a lot more people to say I made it up, because, even to me, it all seems unreal. I can't control whether you believe it or not, but regardless, I thank those who have given their support. As for the text messages, I have always kept them over the years, ever since Layla went away. They weren't just on one platform, but on a lot of others. It was also advised by our lawyer to keep them. And that's how we also got Millie's custody. I know from the reader's perspective, it seems everything happened fast, but I assure you it didn't. But I have to apologize. I cannot give you a detailed update about Layla's answer, at least not in a post. Yes, it is that bad. Layla's secret is only between me, my wife, and her. She told Millie it was because of her mental instability, but that was only surface level. Millie did tell her it was great that she eventually came back for her, but things are better with her gone, at least for now. The real reason would be to crush my daughter. We can't tell her until we're sure she can handle it, but I don't see us ever telling her something as horrible as this. Now I know my sister is dealing with her unresolved trauma that has made her the horrible person she is today. She has left, and I made her swear to never come back. But I know better than to take Layla's word for things, so I had to make sure in my own way. I didn't do anything illegal, if that's what you're thinking. Jeremy did come back before finally leaving to apologize to Millie about Layla's actions and tell her she's always welcome at his home and can get to know her half-siblings if she wants to. I don't know what will happen between Layla and Jeremy, but for her sake, she had better lie herself out of this one too, because if she tells Jeremy what she said to me, she might not even see her other kids again. But then again, it would be good if the kids were raised by Jeremy and not Layla until she saw a psychiatrist. I don't know how to feel about Layla now. On the one hand, I can see she is dealing with heavy, unresolved trauma that needs professional intervention. But on the other hand, no mother feels the way she feels about my daughter. I am, by all means, going to delete this update after some time. If you do want to know what Layla said and can guarantee that you will never share it anywhere else, message me. I can't have it in a public post. I've already told a few I trust about the whole thing, and I truly hope they have kept it to themselves. Second story. My son introduced his new girlfriend after a messy breakup with his ex. Then, his girlfriend dropped the bomb, saying she is trans. How can I introduce her to my husband? I apologize for any issue with the post, as I don't really use Reddit. But I couldn't think of anywhere else to ask for advice anonymously. I have 3 sons, 32, 28, and 26. All of my sons are very successful young men and are on their own. My oldest and youngest were always very outgoing, and were kind of party animals in high school and college. My middle school focused on his grades and future from a young age. He moved the youngest into his own home. Anyway, my middle had a very bad ex-girlfriend. I would like to say worse, but I read the rules here. Basically, they dated since 17, and she cheated on him several times. My son never left because he loved her, but eventually he realized she was a bad woman and left her. It only took 8 years. Anyway, my oldest got married at 29, and my youngest is engaged. They give my middle son a lot of crap because he is single, but I always say that his ex kind of messed up his sense of love and confidence. They don't understand what he went through. My husband agrees. 6 months ago, he started dating this new girl that we just met yesterday. I was happy to hear that he found someone. She is very educated and smart, according to him. They have similar personalities and interests. Considering my middle is kind of a nerd, that made me very happy to hear. Anyway, I wanted to meet her immediately. My son said that she is very shy, and that it would take her time. 6 months later, she told him that she was ready to meet us. So Friday afternoon, my husband decides to grill. Everyone comes over. Then my son and his new girlfriend show up. This beautiful girl walks in, holding his hand and standing behind him. He was right. She is very shy. We all introduce ourselves, and we will call her Sadie. Sadie was quiet, but said hi to everyone. She honestly associated the most with our dog that night. My sons go out and help their dad cook. My daughter-in-law goes out with my grandbaby, and my soon-to-be daughter-in-law and her are best friends when they go out together. I ask if Sadie would like to help me finish the sides and chop some stuff. She says sure. I just ask how they met and have typical conversations. Eventually, my middle son comes up behind her, and pokes her booty. She gives him a really look and hits him in the arm, and he grabs her and picks her up as they laugh. I say put her down. Don't be so rough on her. My son just says okay, puts her down, and goes back out. I said, sorry, 3 boys. Sometimes they are a little too rough, but he is harmless. She said, I know he is. I used to wrestle with my dad and brother growing up too. I said, your mom let her daughter wrestle her older brother and dad. She said, well, I used to be a boy, so I guess it was different, and giggled. I froze. I said, what? Her face went snow white, and immediate tears rolled down her face. She said, he didn't tell you. I said no. She said, I think I should leave. I am sorry. I grabbed her and said, no, stay here. I said, does my son know? She said, yes, he knows. She then said, I always bring it up first, so if there are issues, we don't waste each other's time. To be honest, I am very surprised. But my son has never been so happy, so I dropped it. I honestly just couldn't believe it. I mean, you would never know. She is gorgeous. She asked if I thought of her differently. I said that you make my son happy, and as long as you treat him right, I won't care. She just said thank you. I called my son today because his dad wants to get to know her more and wants to go to dinner with just them and us. He said sure. I brought up our conversation, and he said he knew. He said that she is just really shy about it and doesn't talk about it at all. She just tried to run under the radar. He said that since you know we need to tell dad, but they discussed me kind of telling my husband. Before tomorrow evening. Any idea on how? Or should I tell my son before we go that he and she are going to have to do it? Any help would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Update. Hello everybody. I would like to just say thank you for the kind words. Everything, believe it or not, went very well. I took the advice and told my husband earlier than I had planned. I told him that at noon, when we were going to pick up my son, we would call Sam and Sadie at 6. The conversation was basically fairly quick. I just told him I needed to tell him something, and he had to promise me not to be upset. He just said, speak. I just said Sadie is trans. He just went, okay. He said he would talk later. I said something about dinner, and he just said we would talk later. I told Sam and told him I had his back. On the drive to Sam's place, I told my husband that Sam loves her and makes him happy. I explained that it took a lot of courage from Sadie to be open with us right from the beginning. My husband just said we would talk later and said I promised I would be on my best behavior. We go pick up Sam and Sadie. It was a nice restaurant, so my husband and Sam were in polos and dress pants. Sadie and I were in dresses. They looked so cute together when I saw them. They were matching and everything. We go to dinner, and my husband is acting normal. Just asking questions to Sam and Sadie about their intentions, how they met, etc. After dinner, I gave her a lot of credit. Sadie tried to bring it up with my husband. He just said, hold that thought. Let's go get ice cream. The husband is obsessed with ice cream. I will always find an excuse to get it. So we go as if he is just telling jokes to everyone in the car and acting like a fool, as he always does. We get there and ask what everyone wants. My husband's favorite is chocolate. Mine is cookies and cream, Sam's strawberry, and Sadie's is butter pecan. I promise this matters. We get our ice cream, and after a few minutes, my husband says, it's weird how there are so many different types of ice cream. When I was a kid, there were like 2 or 3. Now they have hundreds, it seems like. I was confused about where my husband was going with this. He then said, as long as the ice cream that you like tastes good to you and makes you happy, I don't mind forking out a few dollars for a smile. He then winked at Sam and Sadie. That was it. That was the discussion. We took them home, and he gave Sam and Sadie each a hug and told Sadie he hopes she can make it to more dinners on the weekends, as we do them often. Sadie said that she would. All I have to say is that I held my husband's arm the whole way home. I am guilty. I did give him a big present for it. Thank you everyone for your support and kind words. It seems everything is going to be fine. Third story. OP caught her husband cheating after his Tinder date contacted her. So she took her revenge and planned to dump his sorry arse. We have 3 small children together, and he stopped eating me out after I gave birth. I missed it, but he did it in other ways, so I wasn't really bothered and didn't make the connection. 2 weeks ago, a woman contacted me on Facebook. She said that she suspected that my husband is the one she's going out with, and she showed me his profile picture. How stupid are men nowadays, or at least men in my country, when you can easily find out their marital status, their address, and who lives at their address with one Google search. Anyway, in his profile, it was very important for him that the women he looked for were childless. I made a fake profile and started swiping men my husband's age until I found him. We started talking, and he was not the same man I married. I mean, I know it's him, but he was cold, rude, horny, and calculated. Only talked about sex. Not the warm man that comes home to us every evening to help me with the children, tuck them in, read them stories, and then spend the rest of the evening cozying me up on the sofa. When I asked him why he only wanted to be childless, he said this: "I can't stand the look of downstairs mothers. I have been living in a haze. I'm a psalm. I can't leave him." The woman who contacted me stayed in touch. She said she could help me find a job, and she owns a few apartment buildings and is willing to give me one until I can start paying rent. How can life change so drastically in just 2 weeks? Update 1. I want to answer this question first. Why did I find that the worst part of my husband's cheating was the oral sex part? It was because this is something I was suspecting for a while, and honestly, I don't know why it hit me so hard. I know that cheaters cheat because they are cheaters, but somehow I felt that he thought I was ugly downstairs and was cheating because he wanted something that he was lacking. This hit me hard. I'm not cold about the situation. I'm heartbroken, but I honestly don't know why I rephrased my original post that way. It just hurt me so bad. And I was just writing off what I was feeling. About the Tinder date. She is 12 years older than me, I'm 29, and I have met her. She met my husband 4 or 5 times, and that's when she started suspecting that he wasn't single, nor was he a businessman. When she found out that he was married, she ghosted him. She found me on Facebook and was hesitant for a week before contacting me. She said the main reason she didn't want to contact me was because she was scared that she would hurt me and ruin my and my children's lives. What made her contact me, however, was the fact that she knew he would do it again if he wasn't doing it already. The reason she wanted to help me now was because we ended up talking for days, and she knew about my situation. She was in a similar situation with her late husband, although hers was way worse. Her husband groomed her when she was 16, and he was 25 years her senior. He physically and mentally abused her so much so that she miscarried after he abused her, and it resulted in her not being able to have children. That must be a real turn-on for my DH, mustn't it? He cheated on her constantly because she was broken goods. He passed away 2 years ago. I Googled her after I came home, and she is involved in a lot of charities concerning women. She still offered me help if I chose to leave my husband, and she even drove me to one of the apartment complexes she owned. I know I need to leave my husband, but I haven't talked to him yet. He is still the same warm and kind husband when he comes home. Tucks in the kids, cleans the kitchen, and cuddles me on the sofa to our favorite TV shows talking about his day minus the going down on other women part. Update 2. The cat is out of the bag now. I want to thank the Reddit dude Yurud Phil1306 who gave me the idea. And thank you for complimenting my PSSY. You made my day. Yes, I sent a picture of my privates and got gratification from a total stranger online. My husband was supposed to go out tonight on a work thing. He is not even trying anymore. He was in the shower preparing, so I decided to join him. He looked dumbstruck, but pleased all the same. He tried to touch me, but I said that I had a surprise in the bedroom, and that he should join me there. When he got out, I was in bed in my underwear. I started touching myself, and every time he tried to come nearer, I pushed him back with my foot and told him just to watch. When I started touching down, I asked him if he wanted to see me, and if he should take off my underwear, and he did so fast that he almost ripped them off. I asked him if he liked what he saw, and he said, "God, yes, I love it." When I came, he went crazy, telling me how SXY I was and how he wanted to have me now. I pushed him back with my foot again and asked him if he forgot that he had a work engagement, and he said that he could always call in sick. So I asked him if his child-free Tinder PSSY would appreciate him bailing out on her with such short notice. He looked even more dumbstruck now and started panicking and apologizing. He said that that was nothing, that he was going to cancel anyway because he was feeling guilty. I told him that I knew more than he could imagine, and to save himself the embarrassment of lying when I knew much, much more. I took another shower because I felt disgusted with everything, and the rest of the evening I spent with my children, having an Ice Age marathon. He left 4 hours ago and has been texting me all evening and night. I'm an art major, but I have been thinking about taking a semester or 2 to become an art teacher. It is a decent job. After asking my husband to leave, I called the Tinder lady, whom I wished with all my heart would become a friend of mine. I told her everything, and she told me she might have found me a job as a painter, like in houses. When my husband comes back, I will ask him to move into the living room. I will not tell him that I'm leaving him until I have set my affairs in order. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.